Hi, I'm Tess Schultz with Tulip Square, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I choose fabrics for my projects. Several of you have asked about this or mentioned that you struggle with picking fabrics, so I'm just going to kind of go through how I do it. I'm sure everyone has a different methodology for how they choose their fabrics, so I'm just going to show you how my brain works, and maybe that'll help you, or maybe it won't, or maybe it'll just be fun to watch, so hopefully. So let's start with these right here, for example. So hopefully you can see them pretty well, but I'll hold them up so you can see the pattern of the fabric as well. So I like to start with whatever is the busiest fabric. So even if that's not going to be your focal point, it's going to have the most colors to pick from. Okay, so I'm starting with this one here. And then I'm going to pull out some of these dark swirls with this fabric here. And now on this side, I have this fabric over here, and I wanted to show you. So there's this fabric, which is a warmer color than the one I'm about to show you, which is a cooler blue, which if you look, that color is in here. And if I hold these two up together, you can see where that color is. So you can pull that out. So now you can put these together. This one, and the dark swirls are all in the same family of blue. Where now if you put this one with this one, now this one and this, the main color, are in the same family, but this one still goes with it because of the dark swirls. So, but you probably wouldn't want to use all of these together. You'd want to pick one of these two and go with it. So you see you have like this way or this way. Because if you do all four, now these two, see how that almost like blends right together? So when you use them in your design, you won't really tell these apart. So if they're next to each other, that's going to make that look like one big shape instead of two smaller pieces. And we don't want that. So I have a light, a dark, and one that's in between. If you squint at it, you can easily tell the difference between the three fabrics. Whereas if I put this one back and I squint at it, you can't really differentiate between these two because they're the same value. So that's one thing, which is like pulling different shades out. You can see how this works and how that works. So that's one example. So let's say you're starting with this, and you know that this is going to be the featured fabric in your whatever you're making, your quilt, your table runner, set of placemats, whatever. This is the fabric that you want to go with, but you don't really have another color scheme. So you start looking in here. So you have yellows and you have oranges and you have, so we have like, there's a nice yellow. And then, so let's try some greens. So looking at it from over there, I thought, oh, this is a nice pale green here, and this is a nice pale green. But when I put it on there, this pops, but it doesn't make this green pop out. You want to draw these colors out and match these. So let's try a different one. So let's try, so you know that for a dark green, that one matches it nicely. What about this one? And then we have this one, which is too kind of pale and minty. I'm gonna hold these up closer. So you have all those greens. See that? Those greens match nicely. Can you see how this green was too bright? Let's dig for another green. Ooh, no, that one's also too bright. Aha! All right. Can you see there how those greens all kind of match each other? I sure hope they do on the screen, because they do in real life. And sometimes I'll take my fabric over to, say I want to match a yellow, so I'll bring it over here and go, oh, actually, Well, here, let's get this whole stack and show you. Look at that. That looks nice. It's got the golden yellow. It's got a bit of that darker orange around the edges there. This one has a lot of similar colors too. And then we have this one, which, okay, that's the wrong shade of yellow. This is more of a greenish yellow, and this is an orangish yellow. So we don't want that one. So these are both nice, and this is an interesting example here. So if you look at these fabrics, this one has tiny little feathery leaves in yellow and tiny, tiny orange dots. And this one has bigger feathery leaves with the golden yellow and also tiny little orange dots. So, and they both kind of go with this fabric, because this yellow matches in there and the orange dots match the orange. See that? So here you have all of these contenders. Do you like all of these? Ooh, I just noticed too that this one gets bonus points because it has a bit of that pink from here in that fabric. Can you see that? So that gives that one a little bit of bonus points. So here's what I do. I know I want to use the green. Is the green going to be a big portion, or is it just going to be a small highlight? Let's say it's going to be a small highlight here. So then I'm going to cover most of it up so that you can see what it would look like as an accent with this. And then you take this and put it another way so you can see how it matches up with all of your choices. And then you compare, do you like that one? And how does that look with the green? And then you have this one. Now notice how this one, even though it's got that golden yellow and the little red dots in there like the other one, it's got a paler background and the little feathery things are tiny. So this almost is like a paler color and doesn't really make these colors pop out. Now this really takes on this orangey tone, whereas this one brings out the golden yellow of these flowers here. And then there's this one that again has that extra little dash of pink that I like. Sometimes just that is going to be what makes it the winner, having that extra dash. But do you see how that kind of goes all together? What if your pattern requires another color? So let's see what happens when we add some of that. Ooh, except that really isn't that. This one might be more so. Oh, yeah, look at that. How's that? So now I've got my patterned fabric, a light, a medium, and a dark colors all pulled from this fabric. Now maybe you wanted to pull that pink instead. What you want to do is put these next to each other and kind of squint at it. And do you see how these two are sort of the same value? So you have your patterned fabric, two lights and a medium, no dark. So here you have this with the pink from those flowers. And do it with the dark from those same flowers. Oh, I had no idea this was part of a set, but clearly that goes with it. So here's something to note. When you're buying fabrics in bundles, you're buying ones from the same collection or whatever, if you put them next to each other like this in your design, if you squint at this, they don't look exactly like one fabric, but it looks enough like one fabric that when it's in your quilt or your project, whatever that may be. So now this all looks like one shape once it's in your project, because they've got the same background, they've got some of the same foreground colors. Well, they do have the same, it just has a lot less of the green over here, and it just kind of flows into one. So you don't really notice that there's two different pieces there in your finished project. Now that can happen when something is, so say you put this one there, and the same thing will happen. Because these are the same colors of green, and it almost looks like this green kind of flows into this greenery here. So that's not as drastic as the last one was, but it's still, it will read, if you squint at it, it reads as one piece. So you want to keep that in mind when you're picking out your fabrics, to make sure that they're of different values. And one thing that helps you to do that is to turn your picture to black and white. So I don't know if this is actually going to work or not, but I'm going to see if I can like turn this black and white in the video so you can see it. We'll see. So I wanted to show you this in black and white versus, say, this in black, and then show you that with this. And then sometimes you're like, oh, get all of those same colors are in this fabric here. I wonder if I like that better. And then you start over. So one more thing to keep in mind is that you don't need to be using this fabric in your project. You can just pick a fabric you like and use that as your color palette inspiration. So if you like this fabric, then chances are you're going to like whatever colors you pull from this fabric. Does that make sense? So now even if you make your project just with these colors, it's going to look nice, right? It's going to look nice because these colors all go together. And you already know that because you've seen it in action on this fabric. So I hope that helped you to kind of see my process of how I choose my fabrics. Let me know what your process is, or if you have any tips for other people in choosing fabrics, let us know in the comments and we would love to hear them. So I really hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're not already. Check out our website at tulipsquare.com and we will see you next time with a brand new video. Happy sewing!